Pause for a moment and envision yourself as a wealthy and successful individual, surrounded by a beautiful family and abundant happiness. That was the life I once knew. However, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. My name is Job, and this is my tale. In a single day, I not only lost my material riches but also my beloved family, my precious children. I was abruptly thrust from a world of luxury and comfort into the depths of despair and sorrow. Describing the agony of witnessing my life's work crumble before my eyes is nearly impossible. And so, my journey begins with a tragic twist that shook my faith and challenged my understanding of divine purpose. I was born in the prosperous land of Oz, a place blessed with abundance and fertility. From a young age, I was taught the principles of justice and righteousness, instilled with a reverence for God and a commitment to shun evil. It was a time of tranquility in my existence, where moral integrity served as the cornerstone of my prosperity. My prosperity was not just spiritual, it extended to material possessions. I owned vast flocks of sheep numbering about 7,000 and over 3,000 camels, symbols of the abundance God had granted me. Additionally, I had an extensive estate with 500 pairs of oxen and 500 donkeys, contributing to the wealth that surrounded my life. My fields were fertile, providing conducive soil for farming and livestock. My servants, faithful and dedicated, tended to my flocks with care. The wealth of my land was not limited to just the animals but also various other material goods bestowed upon me as a result of my faithfulness and fear of God. Each animal, each possession, was evidence of the blessings God had poured upon me. Yet, the true treasure of my life was my family. Alongside my beloved wife, I was blessed with 7 sons and 3 daughters, each bringing joy to my days. My heart overflowed with love for them, and my greatest concern was to ensure they were spiritually connected to God. My devotion to my family manifested daily. I spared no effort to ensure their spiritual protection, performing purification rituals and frequent sacrifices, offering burnt offerings on their behalf, seeking divine benevolence for each one. Every gesture was an expression of the love and care I nurtured for them. That was my life before the storms that were to come, a time of peace and prosperity where my devotion to God and my family were the cornerstones of my existence. It was a time of tranquility where days flowed with joy and gratitude for the blessings received. It all began when Satan went into the presence of God in the following manner. One day, the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, he is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Then Satan replied to the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." And Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. When God allowed this, Satan began to test my faith. On a certain day while my children were gathered for a celebration at the eldest brother's house, I was informed of a succession of devastating tragedies that befell my life. Firstly, a messenger arrived with devastating news. The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing peacefully when suddenly a raid by the Sabians broke out, taking away all the animals and killing the servants tending to them, leaving only me to escape and tell you. This was the beginning of my trials. Barely had I absorbed this news when, without time to catch my breath, another messenger arrived. This new messenger reported that even as he was speaking, fire fell from the heavens, consuming my sheep and other servants, leaving only him as a survivor. With every word, it felt like my heart was losing a piece of itself while I tried to process this devastation. A third messenger approached, recounting that the Chaldeans in 3 separate groups had attacked my camels, stealing them and once again taking the lives of my servants, leaving only him to escape and tell me. The news was like blows that seemed to have no end. Then, at the height of my agony, came the final blow. A fourth messenger arrived, and his words tore me apart. All my sons and daughters were together in a house when a mighty wind came from the wilderness, toppling the structure and burying them, claiming their lives and leaving only me to escape and tell you. Each piece of news was a painful blow to the core of my being, a succession of tragedies that seemed endless, leaving me desolate and bewildered in the face of the magnitude of my suffering. The news came like precise arrows, undermining all the foundations of my existence and hurling me into an abyss of despair and pain. After the terrible tragedies that struck me, I arose, tore my robe, and shaved my head. Then I fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all this, I did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. After this, Satan was still not satisfied, and on another day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. Then the Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, he is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." So Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin. Yes, all that a man has he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will surely curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, he is in your hand, but spare his life." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and inflicted painful sores on me from the sole of my foot to the top of my head. Then I took a piece of broken pottery to scrape myself and sat among the ashes. Then my wife said to me, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die." But I replied to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God, and shall we not accept adversity?" In all this, I did not sin with my lips. Now, when 3 of my friends heard of all this adversity that had come upon me, they each came from their own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with me and to comfort me. And when they raised their eyes from afar and did not recognize me, they lifted their voices and wept, and each one tore his robe and threw dust into the air on their heads. Then they sat down with me on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to me, for they saw that my grief was very great. After that, we engaged in intense dialogue where they tried to find explanations for my suffering. Each of them, in their own way, shared convictions about divine justice and possible reasons behind my afflictions. Eliphaz, the eldest among them, began by trying to find some connection between my suffering and potential flaws in my life. He expressed the belief that suffering comes as a result of committed sins and encouraged me to seek God's mercy through confession and repentance. Bildad, on the other hand, pondered over the nature of divine justice. He argued that although God was just, some of my actions might have triggered consequences beyond my understanding. For him, God's justice was to be trusted even when not understood. Zophar, in his intervention, expressed a conviction similar to Eliphaz, advocating that afflictions came as a direct consequence of committed sins, urging me to seek divine forgiveness through a righteous life. While my friends expressed their perspectives, I defended myself firmly, arguing that I had not committed sins justifying such intense suffering. I felt unjustly treated by the circumstances and questioned divine justice, yet without renouncing my faith. This dialogue was lengthy and intense, marked by divergent views on God's justice and reasons for my suffering. Each of my friends expressed their firm convictions, trying to offer solace and understanding amidst my pain and bewilderment. In the face of my friends' inquiries and accusations, I stood firm in my defense, vehemently rejecting any claim of guilt, justifying the overwhelming suffering that had befallen me. In my quest for understanding, I dared to question God, expressing my profound dismay and affliction over the circumstances. Amidst despair, I lifted my voice to the Lord, pleading for a direct and enlightening judgment to understand the reason for the overwhelming suffering that had struck me. It was in that anguishing moment that I uttered the words, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord." Job 1 verse 21. This statement expressed not only my pain but also a profound acceptance of God's sovereignty over all things, acknowledging that He is the author of life and holder of all circumstances. This assertion was the result of my faith and conviction, even amidst difficulties and inexplicable suffering. While seeking answers, I also accepted God's will, demonstrating my trust in the goodness and purpose of the Lord, regardless of the adverse situations I faced. After the period of intense trial and suffering, God showed His mercy and kindness upon me, restoring not only my faith but also my prosperity. God was gracious and restored my life remarkably. He not only rebuilt what was lost but also blessed me abundantly. I received twice as much as I had lost: flocks, material wealth, and a new family. The restoration wasn't limited just to material possessions but also to my family. God blessed me with 7 sons and 3 daughters, once again demonstrating His faithfulness and generosity in not only restoring my possessions but also the family relationships I cherish. This restoration was a testimony to God's faithfulness in my life, a sign of His loving care even amidst the most severe trials. It was a time of renewal, where I experienced not only material abundance but also the restoration of my faith and confidence in divine providence. After the tribulations that deeply shook my life, God was merciful and generous in restoring all that was lost. He blessed me with unimaginable abundance. I received 1,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 pairs of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. Beyond material restoration, God gifted me with 7 sons and 3 daughters, clear signs of His grace and faithfulness, bringing new joy and fulfillment to my family. I witnessed not only the recovery of my wealth but also the rebirth of my lineage, a tangible sign of divine generosity. The grand manifestation of restoration I experienced was a vivid proof of God's love and kindness, revealing that after moments of distress, a period of multiplied blessings and complete restoration followed. This new season of my life was an unequivocal demonstration of God's care and generosity. On my journey after profound afflictions, faith sustained us when the winds of adversity blew strongest. Just as I found solace and renewal, you too can find comfort in the knowledge that the God who cared for me also cares for you. Therefore, amid life's uncertainties and pains, keep the flame of faith alive. Remember my story, which shows that after the most violent storms, there is the promise of a new dawn. Trust in divine providence. God is with you. Amen. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know who you'd like to see in our next videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. For us, you're not just another subscriber. You're the main pillar of this channel. Until next time.